Patience is going to be a key today, and of course, getting off the start in good shape is going to be another critical point to getting a win.
Yeah, that's right. As always, finding clear space on the course is going to be important, but even more so today when the wind is really light and patchy. And as Stevie mentioned, some really strong tide out there.
All right, so we are 1:15 away from the first race here at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. As Stevie mentioned just a short time ago, 3 races today and then 2 more fleet races tomorrow before the event final, where only the top 3 teams will compete here on the water. We are now 60 minutes away from go time.
This positioning so crucial in the light winds here, Todd. There's big disturbed air off those wings, so if you get yourself stuck and slow out the back early on here, you can be really out of position. It's all about trying to get the boat fast at that red start line when it turns white at 0.
95, yeah.
So the final 40 seconds here on the Hudson as the 12 international teams of SailGP are ready to go in Event 6. This is the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix, and everyone getting a little itchy, Stevie, to get to that start line.
Yeah, we've got a big bunch towards the favoured end, the uptide end of the line where the United States are sat at the moment, but the Rolex pole predictors out on the left-hand side of our screen on board the French. They've given themselves space to try and get it up and foiling. 16 seconds to go. It's going to be hard to accelerate if you're in the pack, but Quentin de la Pierre on board the French boat's got themselves foiling, but where's he going to fit the boat in? The Bonds Flying Rouge are struggling for a gap as well. Everyone's looking slow when the line's going to turn white.
Oh, Quentin de la Pierre had to bury the nose, Stevie, or he would have had a collision.
There was just nowhere to go through, but it's Diego Botín that's judged it right, and look at that, they're up and foiling on board the Spanish. They're going to roll over the top of the fleet and lead at Mark 1.
Yes. Enjoy, Joey. Little puff on. Nice warm breeze.
Really good acceleration from the Spanish there, Todd, because all the teams were right on the start line and they managed to pop the boat up on the foils super quick.
At mark number 1, race number 1, it is the Spanish, the winners of the last event in San Francisco. Get a little dip there, but Hannah there is still out in the lead.
Yeah, they are, and it's so hard to sail the boat with just 3 people. Normally we have 6 people on board. They've been trying to keep everything really light, but those grinders are going to have to be working hard to allow the wing trimmer to keep the boat on the foils.
No, 2, 1. Turning.
And Stevie, I can't imagine what the comms are like. To Hannah's point, we go from 6, you cut the team in half now, and there's just 3 doing the work of 6.
Well, it's all the job share, isn't it? I mean, effectively now the driver has got to do the strategy, fly the boat, as well as steer the boat through these basic manoeuvres. So there's a lot of errors going to happen out there in the fleet, and how you minimise that's going to be crucial. Germany did a great manoeuvre away at Mark 1. They've managed to spit towards the inside, and they're well lined up for Gate 2. Big gains by Eric Heil, but the Spanish might be faster around the outside, and the black foils and Burling, well, they're looming large in the rearview mirrors.
Ooh, penalties being assessed to both France and the Bonds Flying Rouge. That's not going to help their cause. So they slide back 2 positions, and now it is Spain, Germany, New Zealand, and Rockwell, Denmark, your top 4, with Mubadala, Brazil now in a top 5 position.
Huge thing to think about here, unique to this race course, is the current, isn't it, Hannah? It's going from left to right across our screen. It's like a conveyor belt taking them up the course. Gives them a little bit more wind, but makes these mark roundings really tricky.
And you can see the Bonds Flying Rouge just really struggling to keep the boat foiling around that mark there. They're going to have to put in a manoeuvre or try and get the boat speed back up again. The Spanish did a really nice job to get around that mark, so we might see them clear, but it's going to be hard work for the Bonds Flying Rouge to get going again.
Still sounds pretty calm on board the boat there. We've got Kinley Fowler, Chris Draper there on the boat, Tom Slingsby, of course, driver. And, you know, this is a big moment for them, this new sponsorship, Bonds Flying Rouge, really great news for them, but they won't be liking what they're seeing in this race at the moment with the black foils foiling away in front of them.
US SailGP team threading the needle there, trying to get themselves into position. They currently sit in 11th, just 1 spot off dead last, and the Swiss holding that down. Emirates GBR also got a terrible start.
Yeah, way out the back, some of the big teams, that's for sure, isn't it? And I think one of the things in this kind of conditions is staying on the foils is just, I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of meters for being accurate with your manoeuvres, and I think that's where someone like Peter Burton, we see there a slightly shady manoeuvre there. I'm not sure what's caught them out. Didn't look like that was the best of work by the black foils.
Oh, yeah, nice heavy mix stuff.
So Blair 2, Peter Burling on board, Leo Takahashi. Now look at this, he's got to jump in front and get some grinding in.
31s.
Yeah, it's all about multitasking now. How you split those rolls out, as Hannah said, it's so hard to judge that, but we can see the black foils, well, they're already making good progress up the course, but you see the white lines coming off the marks there. That's because the marks are having to motor to stay in position over that conveyor belt that is the Hudson River.
31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31,
Spain still out in front. New Zealand sits in second. Denmark in third. Germany is into fourth. And Australia somehow has moved themselves into a top 5 position.
Yeah, well, I think he did that really by staying calm, Todd. We saw yesterday that turning left at gate 2 was a crucial move. We saw a couple of teams split away and look to try and find something special, but sometimes you just got to keep making the right move, and that's what Slingsby did. Yes, he fell off the foils, but he kept making the next right move.
And Australia picking up another penalty, so tough break there for the Bons Flying Roos. 2 penalties in the first 3 legs.
Yeah, he's gone out of bounds there, Todd, and of course, because they're sort of constricted by the pitch, the boundaries on it. If you go outside it, you're going to get a penalty, but if you do go outside it, you think you can get away with saving some manoeuvres, but of course, Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell, not one to miss that.
So as they head back up, is Spain out in front, New Zealand sits in second, and it looks like Rockwell Denmark will go into third, and Germany Deutsche Bank now in 4th place as they all opt for that right-hand side going closer to Governor's Island.
It's really interesting to see who the teams have chosen to keep on board as well. So the Bons Flying Roos, they've kept Kinley Fowler on, who's their grinder and jib trimmer, rather than their flight controller. So either Tom Slingsby is doing the flight control from the wheel, or Kinley's leaning back to help with the flight control from that grinding position.
I think Slingsby's always tended to do a lot of flying of the boat. I think he's one of the drivers that's quite comfortable when he has got to fly the boat. A lot of experience, of course, been in SailGP since the first season, and you know, he really is a big hitter, and he can take on that sort of multitasking role quite easily. But Diego Botín, well, of course, champions last year, slightly wobbly manoeuvre there, but they've been making good decisions so far. And you can see Rodriguez is back on the controls for them. As to Hannah's point, they've chosen to keep the flight controller, so he has to be a grinder to help get the boat up in the air. There we go. He's now crossing the boat for a manoeuvre, so it's a busy day for Joel Rodriguez.
Great angle from the 5G by T-Mobile for Business, giving that shot inside the cockpit on board Spain. The winners of the last event, they are the defending season champions. And while we pat ourselves on the back for that great angle, we also want to apologize. We're not giving the helicopter view right now with the normal graphics they're used to, and that's because of the weather in the area, and we hope to get that up and sorted here momentarily. But this is race number 1, the first day of racing here in New York City, the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. Spain got a great start, and they have not looked back. They are through gate 4. They have a sizable lead over New Zealand, Denmark in 3rd, Germany in 4th, and Australia up to 5th.
With this level of racing, Todd, really, if you're in 1st or 2nd place, you should be able to make that stick, because you can find clear wind, you can maximise the horsepower that Mother Nature's offering us out there. But as soon as you're back in the pack, well, then you are having to react to what the other teams do. You've got no plan A, you're on plan C, D, E.
Check, guys. Okay, trimming up. 3, happy back, and 2, on turning up. Happy backrest, and stand by. Waiting for Razzie, and 4's gone, TJ. Just let me get there, 2.
Oh, this is fantastic.
To be fair, Tom Johnson should be quite used to rushing around, because he's just had a new baby in between the last few events. So Tom's probably glad to be back on the boat and not changing nappies.
So Spain makes the turn around the last gate as they head for home, as they will come in front of the fans at Governor's Island. They'll get an opportunity to celebrate this first win, and it will be the Emirates winning moment as Spain comes into view. There are the fans, the hardy fans, that are riding out this weather system, and it will be race number 1 going the way of the Spanish.
Oh, wow, what a result for them. I mean, when you have a tough race like this, which can maybe seem like, you know, very frustrating for some of the teams, you always got to say it's the same for everyone. Everyone's had the same opportunity to put in a performance like Diego and the team, but they're the only ones that did. And I think it can be huge on an event like this. We see the leaderboard on the left here. We can see GBR in 9th, Canada in 8th. Well, they're 2 teams really from the very top of the leaderboard. They can't afford any more of these now over the weekend.
So Peter Burling.
If I end up low on the boom.
So what we're talking about there, they're having to work out how to do a manoeuvre, because they haven't ever done it as a 3 before.
Oh, good.
Rockwell Denmark coming through in 3rd place, so a great performance for them, Stevie, a team that we've talked about off air a little bit, how they've been underperforming. They need a big result here in New York.
Yeah, well, that was the back with a bang that we wanted from Nikolai Sejersted, wasn't it? He left the regatta in Los Angeles with a bang into that turning mark, and he's come back here with a great result. So that's so good to see for Rockwell Denmark, and they need it. Wow, do they need it. As to this team, in fact, Germany, they've been struggling, but Eric Heil, Stu Biffle, James Wabowski, I mean, that is a strong 3 to have out there on the boat.
Germany Deutsche Bank will come through, and they will finish in 4th.
So much fun.
Shuey Biffle. Well, he is English, so he's probably enjoying the rain as well, I'd imagine. He's getting enjoyment from everything out there.
Bons Flying Ruse did a great job picking up multiple penalties, but somehow Tom Slingsby found a way to bring the fellas in.
I think most of the ones Tom got were probably what in other sports you'd call a professional foul, where you're pushing and testing the limits because you know there might be a bigger gain by making that little error early on.
I think especially in races like this, if you can pull off that manoeuvre by going over the boundary, you can make such a big gain.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that is a really good point. I think, and for me, that's probably exactly what they did, really. You know, oh, Canada is looking a little loose on board the Canadian boat there. Oh, it's so tricky, though. I don't know if Giles Scott will have ever flown one of these boats. Not sure if Billy's on the boat or not, but it's just so hard for the crews. They're having to learn on the job at the moment, as we see Emirates Great Britain. They got another penalty there. I must say I missed what that penalty was for, but they're going to need to lose some distance, or they need to get themselves behind the United States, depending on what type of penalty it was.
It looks like Canada is going to literally drift across that finish line before Switzerland can reel them in. Just have to turn the wheel just to the right.
Slowly coming to starboard here.
Well, there's not a lot of wind,
No.
Tom, okay? And once you get on the foils, you start making your own wind by going fast across it. But if you fall off the foils, there's suddenly no wind again. So it's why it's so crucial to get these manoeuvres accurately, because otherwise you will just end up wallowing like Canada.
Actually had a good position at the start. We needed to be patient.
The USA will hold on for 9th place unless the Brazilians can get there. And look at this. Look how quickly, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, look how quickly Taylor Campfield's coming across, trying to beat Martini Grail to the line, not going to get it done. So it will be Brazil getting 9th. And the USA will have to settle for 10th.
Yeah, I think the trouble I have with the French strategy, there's 12 boats. The line is pretty busy, isn't it? And you're relying on a gap arriving. So you're effectively hoping a little bit, aren't you? You're hoping there's going to be a gap. If there's a gap, you look like a genius. And of course, we'll call it the best start ever. But I liked what the Spanish did. They controlled their positioning. So looking for boats, we can already see the French in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen there. They're leading back. They're trying to put themselves in that close to the start, but with just enough room to accelerate. I like where the USA are at the moment. I like where Emirates Great Britain are. Spain and New Zealand, left-hand side of our screen. Spain way out the back right now. The black foils might get a gap into the line here. We're watching for this line to turn red. It's going to be so tight. The Roos are coming in hot at the bottom. Slingsby's absolutely nailed it. Oh, that was a brilliant start by Tom Slingsby on the Bons Flying Ruse there. What a start from them. They had a good first race, but they should lead at Mark 1 from here.
It's Australia, it's the Stars and Stripes, and it is Rockwell, Denmark going 3 wide as they approach mark number 1 here in New York City.
Crucial decisions now for these marks. If you're at the back of the pack, you've got to look to manoeuvre early and try and get yourself back in the race here. If you're on the outside of the wheel like Canada, like Switzerland, like Rockwell, Denmark, how do you pick your way back through the fleet when you turn onto the non-priority tack? There you go, Germany, first to manoeuvre away. That's no surprise. They're well near the back of the pack. Burling chooses to go straight. He's trying to find a bit of space later on the racetrack. But look at that. France, Canada, Great Britain, United States, Rockwell, Denmark, they're all slowing each other down. Slingsby's going to be down the road when he gets to gate number 2.
And look at this. The team that won race number 1 is currently back of the pack. It is Spain in 11th as they just overtake Red Bull Italy for 11th place out of 12. Meanwhile, up in front as they approach gate 2, the DP World Gate. We got a tight one here with the Bons Flying Ruse trying to hold their nerve against Mubadala, Brazil, and it's a tight one.
Oh, it's tight. Really tight. Too tight there. Too tight by Slingsby. He had to give them room to get around the outside. I don't know if there was any collision or not. It looked very, very close. He had to give room for the Brazilians. They were overlapped as they opened the circle. Be interested to see if we hear anything from the umpires there.
Talk about holding your nerve. Martini Grail and Mubadala, Brazil saying no sleep till Brooklyn for you, Slingsby.
This is the umpires penalty Australia.
He had nowhere to go. There he's got the penalty. Oh, if there's been a
Brazil.
collision in that, there could be penalty points as well. Slingsby's going to be fuming. Oh, he's fuming. Sorry if you're hearing a bit of industrial language out there on the water. Slingsby not happy with that decision. Got a slightly different view on things than Craig Mitchell had, I think, there. We're going to come back to a replay, though, and see what happens here. So you can see Slingsby's on the outside. He has to give room. If they were overlapped, which I believe they were, and it seems to be like Craig Mitchell, the chief umpire, believes they were as well, they have to give sufficient room for the Brazilians to get through, and that does not look like sufficient room to me. Oh, you might need a new pair of Bonds undies after that one.
Hannah, what do you think? Whose side are you going with here?
Well, I think, the umpires have made it quite clear who they thought were in the right and wrong there, but, for the teams now, you have to just settle back into the race as we watch it again one more time.
Doesn't look like a collision, though. Crucial for penalty points for the Roos there. That's just going to be an on-the-water penalty. Got to drop back behind Brazil. It's not really going to cost them very much at all. If they'd had a collision, they'd have been looking at penalty points, and that could have been a disaster.
So it is Brazil now out in front, Australia in second, France in third, Canada, North Star Canada into fourth, Emirates GBR in 5, Switzerland in 6, USA has moved back to 7th.
We had a phone call with quite a well-known soothsayer, Sir Russell Coates, who suggested that he could see a race win coming from Mubadala, Brazil,
yes, he did.
in the next few events. Well, is it going to happen in race 2 here in New York? I'd want to be getting my mystical ball off him if it was that case.
So it's leg 3 of 7. This is race number 2 with one more race still to come. Weather is expected to roll into this area, so we did have to push up the start by an hour or so because of the threat of thunder and lightning. And once again, it's Martini Grail going toe-to-toe with the Bonds Flying Roos.
Australia must give them room again here. Slingsby, well, that's a bit more of a sensible berth there. He's given them plenty of breathing space there. Mubadala, Brazil are still in the lead. Crucial manoeuvres coming up. Look how fast the Roos are going there, though.
I don't think I've got to roll down if you've got space.
Got 20 till boundary.
Still fast mode all the
You
time.
can just hear all the information coming in there. Draper's giving him his options. Tash is telling him where the course is out there. They're all working together to get that boat going around as fast as possible. And when they get to the boundary, Brazil will have to keep clear of Australia.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but we went from 3 people on board in the race number 1. Now we're up to 4, Hannah. So how does that change the dynamics on the boat?
Well, it massively changes the dynamics, and people have swapped positions in between those races to account for that extra person. You've got an extra set of eyes, you've got an extra set of hands, so a strategist back on board, but it's still not easy to sail the boat with just 4 people.
But that Australian boat's fast, Todd. Look how fast they are. They went round behind there. They've both gone the same way. So when you've gone to a similar side of the course, you know you've been in a similar wind. Therefore, it's only the performance you're managing to generate from the boat, and that's just clinical from the Roos there. The speed team on board that Australian boat's done an amazing job on this downwind leg, and they should be able to set themselves up for the left turn at the bottom.
Maybe an issue. That's Mark 1 on the bow, right?
Yeah. Not a million miles off, but don't forget the tide here, yeah?
Yeah.
Constant communication.
Coming up.
Speed on here, it's nice.
Let's go a little bit back.
Here we go. We've got the Brazilian team, Martini and Lee McMillan having a chat. We're on board here with Andy Maloney, the flight control. That's our T-Mobile 5G POV camera bringing us in there. That coffee grinder type thing you can see in his left hand. That's what he's flying the boat with. They're about to jibe the boat. They're going to turn it downwind, so he's having to control both boards. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. You've got to be a Game Boyer or something like that, haven't you?
Turning. Okay, angle, hold, stay there, Martin.
And you can hear Lee McMillan, the wing trimmer, just coaching Martine through the angle there. When she's standing on the old side of the boat, it's really hard to get that angle right, so you need the wing trimmer to help with that call.
Nice.
Well, Russell Coates probably is going to have to wait another race here, because I think the Australians have managed to eke out a big lead as we get into that gate turn there, and it's now a short upwind leg before we head towards the finish. There's not a lot of race left here, and I don't see many overtakes. Emirates Great Britain, what a job Dylan Fletcher's done here, though. He's cut the corner on the Canadians. It's going to be a similar situation. Canada have got to give space to Emirates Great Britain as they enter the circle, and with this current, you've got to give an extra bit of space, because things are changing real quick.
So Giles Scott on North Star Canada stays clear. They get a little bit of a dip there on the left-hand side as Emirates GBR dips inside and takes that position.
Yeah, he tries to shut the door a bit too early then. If he'd stayed wider and then come at Dylan later, as soon as they pass away from the gate, Dylan has to keep clear of him. I think Giles got a bit greedy there, but he's managed to just about keep the speed on. Now Emirates Great Britain, now they have to keep clear. It's a tight battle all the way through the race course, but crucially, if we look at the left-hand side of the screen, New Zealand, Denmark, USA, they're still sort of struggling to get out of that fleet battle. And in fact, Germany at the moment look like they're going to pass over the New Zealand team.
Hannah, the biggest winner in this race so far for me has got to be Spain. We saw them at mark number 1. They were in 12th place. They've now moved up to 6th.
Yeah, and you know, winning races is important, it's great, but actually making your bad race a little bit better is actually what makes it count when it comes to those points going into the final race.
I copy building here now.
Yeah, I mean, this was,
for a second.
you know, a big race potentially for Spain. I think that what they've been doing is just trying to find space on the racetrack here as the Australians. We've got leg 5 or 7. There's not a lot of the race to go here now. They look like they're going to have this last upwind leg, head downwind and then across to the finish line to finish in front of the fans there. And it's a big lead, 200 metres. Remember, just a lap ago, they were behind Brazil neck and neck, and they've both basically gone the same way around the course. So what we're witnessing here is pure boat speed, which, given that all these boats are identical, that's the 4 sailors on the boat are making that difference.
Can we just say how grateful we are? Because earlier reports, Stevie, was that we were going to have wins in the single digits. Now we've got boats up and foiling. And can we also be grateful? The last time we saw the Australians was in San Francisco Bay, and they were dead solid in the water with a broken wing.
Well, that's right. I mean, and again, that goes a big shout back to the SailGP Technologies team, and Joel and his whole team have done an amazing job to make this thing happen and get us here. You know, I'm sure there were doubts as to whether we'd even be ready for this. So yes, there's a lot to be grateful for right now, that is for sure. But we were praising Spain at the moment, but middle of the screen, they're off the foils and they're struggling here. They're losing a lot of places very quickly.
So they've gone from 6th now back to 7th, in danger of going to 8th as they get the cross coming with US SailGP and Taylor Canfield as the Americans try to salvage something on this one. Remember, the USA finished in 10th in the last race, so they need a big performance here to move up the ladder. If they can get into a top 5, that would be huge. We always talk about these regattas. You can have one bad race. You can have an 8, 9, 10, even farther down, Hannah. You can't have 2.
No, that's right. And it really puts the pressure on for the rest of the weekend. You want to get these early race bank results in if you can.
I think what will happen is when you've got 12 boats in the fleet, you will start to get bigger scores flying around because there's just so much more potential for getting trapped here.
Walk on the takeoff.
Here we go, Arno Sarafagis there talking to Seb Schneider there on the Swiss team, and they need a good result here, but these light conditions, quite like Lake Geneva in some ways, not with the current, that is for absolutely certain there. And, oh wow, what's happened there on board the Swiss boat? Oh, they've just turned the boat. They've looked to do an extra manoeuvre, but it just looked like it was quite a fast spin. It didn't look like the most calculated thing. I guess it was what they're planning to do. Just surprised me, that was all.
Happy to go down.
I think those kind of things can happen when you've got people not in their normal position.
Yeah, good point.
Just catches you out sometimes.
So the USA now has moved up to 6th place, so they picked up another spot as Spain has dropped back to 8th. The Swiss now not limiting their damages, but they go to 4th. MSGBR now in 5th.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of changes on this race course, aren't there, if you can find that bit of space. Spain are right back in it, but New Zealand, the black foils, in the sort of middle left of our screen there, back in 11th, and they were quite near the German boat. They're losing, they're not doing very well around this course at all, making a lot of handling mistakes, the basic turns. Every time you manoeuvre the boat, there's a lot of choreography to do, but they're really struggling out the back, and in fact, just have to see the Australians. They've got 2 more manoeuvres to do. They're going to do a right turn towards the finish there. And this one, well, I think they could even afford a couple of mistakes and they'd still win it from here.
So Tom Slingsby and the Bonds Flying Rouge, they are the current leaders after 5 events. Remember, we've had 5 events so far in Season 5, and we've had 5 different winners. Will it be a 6th here in New York City, or is the Bond Flying Rouge newly minted program and colors going to change that and they'll double down? They won their last event, which was in Auckland, New Zealand. That was event number 2, but they lead the overall by 1 point over MSGBR and 3 points over Spain, the winners of the last event in San Francisco.
Saw a big mistake there by the Bonds Flying Rouge just at that mark. They lifted the wrong board out of that jibe, but I think they've got enough of a lead to hold it at the moment.
Well, it was me saying they could afford a mistake. I think I might put the commentator's curse on them a little bit there. Here we go, France, they've got to keep clear. Brazil was already in the zone, so Brazil owns that mark.
They've lost
France
the win.
have got to go around. Well, it's just, like we said, as soon as you fall off the foils, and it's so easy to misjudge what we call the ley line, the position where you turn to be sailing towards that final mark, because you've got this treadmill, so you think you're aiming at it, but then you're getting whisked up away from where you think you should be. So we can see there on board, that's the voice of Lee McMillan, trying to keep things calm, get things going again. But yeah, you fall off the foils, and especially in towards Governor's Island where there's a little bit less wind, it's very hard to get back on. I think if I was Canada here, I'd push out way past that yellow line if I could and look to come in really fast at the bottom, and you might still get a shot at getting all the way back to even 5th place.
Well, we do have an Emirates winning moment, and it goes the way of the Bonds Flying Roos. For the first time, Australia, under their new name, claims a victory here in New York City.
Denmark really toasted us for the jive, didn't they?
Boy, that last leg, Stevie, was not the most exciting racing we've seen, but it was effective, and they built up such a big lead.
Here, Martin. Down to you. I've got boats in H2 down there.
See Giles has commented there. We've got boats in H2, so H2 means 2 hulls in the water, and of course that's just twice as much drag as you'd have if you're on the foil. So it's absolutely not twice as much, absolutely infinite amount more drag than if you're on the foil. So it's getting light here, and for Mubadala Brazil, that was a great result, getting a 2nd place. But it's tricky when you fall off the foils. Canada are foiling; they're going to make a huge gain at the bottom here potentially.
So Mubadala Brazil, first time they finished in the top 3 since Los Angeles, which was event number 4. And it looks like France will hold on for 3rd. So a big performance there for Quentin Delapierre and the French. But look at this. Here's what you're talking about. Look how fast the Canadians are, leaving everyone in their wake at 39 kilometers an hour. They may get Spain.
They're going to get all the way past Great Britain, I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh, they might get them.
There you go. Paul Campbell-James willing the boat across the line there. Pretty solid strategy, really. Push out as wide as you can get on the course. They're going to be going 2-3 times the speed of Spain. I think Spain might just hang on here. Another good result for Spain. Like you said, Spain were near last at the start of this race, so a great comeback for Botín.
They were dead last at mark number 1, and they salvage a 4th, so great job by the defending champions from season 4. Canada does come in top 5.
Todd, something did happen when the Swiss did that funny turn out there. Look, they're stuck in 11th, and I thought it looked at it, it's so tight at this bottom mark here. United States own the mark, but the problem is they've got no speed, and they're just going to be stuck as a roadblock. Germany could go around the outside here as well. Germany have got to give room to everyone. They've got to stay wide, but they've got the speed on.
We can. Coming up. Lost everything there.
Biffle there, talking him through it. He'll be happy with that. They've got round the outside. I think New Zealand could have maybe gone wider than they did. It's going to be a potential collision here. United States on the mark. Denmark are hitting them. Oh, this is a bit of a disaster. United States own the mark. What I mean by that is they're entitled to round it, and everyone else has to give them room. So Rotterdam Denmark haven't given them room by the simple fact that United States have hit the mark and they've hit Rotterdam Denmark. That's what tells me they've not had enough room. But it's just a disaster for Rotterdam Denmark there.
This is the umpires. Penalty USA. Didn't give mark room. Go behind Denmark.
Tricky thing with these big wing sails is it's not like a normal flappy sail where you can really tell and get the flow over it. As soon as you lose the flow, you really struggle, and they're on this treadmill that's pushing them back onto the mark. Such a stressful position to be in here.
The other thing that's really hard is that those rudders are meant for high speed, so actually they're tiny for manoeuvring a boat at this slow speed.
Germany's going to come across, and they're going to finish in 7th, and the rest of the fleet is just trying to find some kind of breeze
happy to connect, get in position again.
to get themselves, because positions 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are still up for grabs. And Stevie, look at this. This is like trying to, stick a garbage truck in the middle of like 10 Ferraris. Don't scratch anything, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's like anything, Todd, to be perfectly honest. It's just so stressful for the US team, but they're round the mark now. They'll have the most wind. They're blocking the wind onto Rotterdam Denmark, onto Switzerland, onto New Zealand. New Zealand are going to have to try and cut up the inside and see if they can salvage something from this race. But at the moment, this is just painful. One mistake where you judge your final turns towards the mark, and it just costs you so much.
Probably going to need the wing down now. Yep. You got it, Hans?
Oh, looks like the Americans are going to yield that 8th position as they pick up a penalty.
Let's go. Try to go low mode.
It's interesting. I guess that they're saying the United States didn't keep clear after the mark or something like that. Race about to terminate, but it only means it will go back to the position they're in at the last mark. So the mark just to the left-hand side of our screen. So these positions that we see here are basically where they were. Well, I wouldn't say exactly where they are, but that's the race terminated right there.
So the final boats come across as the race is terminated for these final teams to get across the line. But once again, it's the Bonds Flying Roos that win race number 2 here in New York. Quick turnaround as we are trying to beat a weather front that is scheduled to come through the New York City area here in a matter of time. So that's why we are rushing to get the 3 races in, as we are under 90 seconds to go. So we take a deep breath, Hannah. The athletes get a very quick respite and just a little bit of hydration, especially for those teams that finished towards the back when the race was terminated.
Yeah, and you know, getting yourself in position to be able to line yourself up for this next pre-start isn't always easy when it's light winds, but the boats are up and foiling now, and they should be able to get themselves nicely in position for this next pre-start.
Onboard GBR there, our T-Mobile camera, and I think what's interesting is, like as you say, when they're getting handed the drinks bottles, they are racing. The coach and the rib crew will be well aware of where they're positioned there to fit the routine that, in the case of Emirates Great Britain, Dylan Fletcher and Hannah Mills will have laid out as the plan for the start. 40 seconds to go. Looks like there's a bit of weather coming in. Should be good for a bit of wind for a while here. It looks to me like Switzerland and the United States are late. They're very late back. Rockwool, Denmark well positioned, New Zealand well positioned. Lady Liberty, well, she's looking a bit damp right now, but the Bonds Flying Roos are going to be struggling to get a good start from here as well. All the boats are a bit late in their routine here. Rolex Pro Predictor does sit on the Australians, but there's not an awful lot of wind where they are now. New Zealand, I think, are well positioned to have a good start here. 13 seconds to go. Favoured positions, middle of the line. All about timing from here. Watch out for the black foils. They're going to be able to wind it up. They're going to be able to get their timing right. How's he done it? Looking out for Peter Burling in the middle of the line. The line's gone white. We go, and it's a drag race between Rockwool, Denmark and the black foils towards Mark 1.
Looking backwards, what's my rudder?
Australia, France and Canada and Great Britain and Brazil are going to be way behind. They've got to make something magic happen at Mark 1, because at the moment they are way out the back.
Right, stay with the team. Here we go, heaps of rain. Biggest video, guys.
Here we go, mark number 1 with heaps of rain. Rockwool, Denmark on the outside, and on the inside it's the black foils. The Kiwis had a terrible last race. They're looking to bounce back. Remember, they finished in second in race number 1.
Really far.
Just see if you get a good start. Well, let's see what happens in this race, of course. But the Kiwis are very well set up now. Denmark well positioned as well. They didn't have a great second race. I think consistency on a day like this is so hard. You can just see a slight misjudgment in the start, and you're out the back of the pack, even if you're Tom Slingsby.
Denmark sitting on a 3rd and a 10th in the last race, so they're looking for a big bounce back here. And there you see the Kiwis out in front, Rockwool, Denmark in 2nd, the Swiss in the mix in 3rd, and Red Bull Italy, they also need a big performance.
Yeah, Italy have had some boat troubles. They've had to restart the whole computer system in the boat at the end of that second race. They couldn't get to the finish, and it looks like they're going well. Oh, a little bit loose, putting on a show for the fans there.
On board now.
Oh, DJ Khaled, the hype master, will have loved that move by the Germans as they came in front of the fans there, but unfortunately not good for boat speed. Look at that, New Zealand, they're just gone here. He might be able to foil most of the way around the race course if he can keep it smooth.
So at the DP World Gate, it is Peter Burling, who we spoke with just a short time ago, who has the lead. This would be huge for their cause, Stevie. They could pick up a win here, and that would give them a 2nd, an 11th, and a 1st on the day. But you see Rockwool, Denmark, and Nikolai Sehested trying to reel him in.
Yeah, and I think if you're in Sehested's position, you're not desperate to overtake right now. What you are thinking is a 2nd is a very good result. Let's just make sure I don't make any silly mistakes now, get fast, and the two of us can be 300, 400, 500 metres ahead in the next minute or so, and then we'll maybe think about a fight.
Hannah, we lean on you a little bit because you have raced in these boats and on this same venue. When the rain's coming down like this, how does that affect not only your visibility, but how is that affecting the wind that they're seeing out there, and how they're picking up where the wind is, if there is any?
So there's two things at the moment. The rain is making it really hard to read the wind on the water, so relying a little bit more on feel than on just the numbers that are coming through that screen that they've got on the wing to use. But another thing is that the current has dropped right off. It's about to turn and change direction, and the impact of that is that previously, the current was pushing the boats upwind, which artificially increases the strength of the wind. That's now died down, so we can see the boats are sailing with one hull in the water as they're going upwind. So it's going to be a lot harder to get around the course.
It is, but they just need to get up to this next gate to reach scoring distance for the race. So with the little bit of current that there is left, New Zealand, I would have thought, will definitely make it up there. And you can see top of screen, look at Australia, they're just so far back at the moment, really struggling. This little grouping here, well, little grouping, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boats in it. It's going to be so hard to manage to keep any boat speed on. Italy might just scrape round Botin. Well, we've seen he's the master of wiggling his way through these tight situations, but it's going to be so easy to get slow like the United States did at that mark in the last race. Tactical nightmare for the crews out here now. You've got to place your chess pieces. We've got the green and the red circles indicating green's good, red's bad in terms of right of way on the race course. But yeah, you're playing your chess pieces a long way early now.
Stevie, put your weatherman hat on. As the system has come through, and we saw that big squall of rain coming through. A lot of times on the back end of that, it's great that the rain has stopped, but it also seems to suck out the wind.
Yes, and there's every chance the wind's going to drop. Well, I mean, it is dropping, isn't it? There's every chance it'll drop a fair, but I'm surprised Giles Scott didn't go wider there. He had a massive opportunity to totally change his race around. Could have gone wide, dived in at the bottom. He was foiling.
Have to go to the other mark. Yeah, you want to keep speed here?
Still foiling on the Canadian boat, though, so that's a real positive for them. But I think he could have gone round on the inside. Anyway, if he gets round this turn, he's going to fly away there, the North Star Canada. No, he's going to have to do a couple of manoeuvres and they're going to fall off the foils. Well, they've made a huge overtake, so fair enough, Giles. Wasn't too bad. I think I'd have done something a bit different, but that's why he's there and I'm not.
Holding call. All good. Spin it. You're fine. Fine, Siege. Fuck me.
Apologies for the industrial language
out there. Yeah, well, there's just this current. They're getting pushed onto that mark. You've got to give it more space. I don't know if they hit it. I'm sure Giles will claim he didn't. We do have the technology in SailGP that we can go up into the Oracle Cloud and find out whether or not they did, and I will no doubt get some information on that as the race progresses. But it was very, it was tighter than it needed to be anyway.
Well, it was not a high-speed maneuver, Stevie. This is not like a Denmark situation, no T-foils.
Turn me up now. Turn me up.
Wow, look at the bonds flying loose.
Yeah, New Zealand is still foiling towards the top left, top of our screen there. That boat way out on its own. They are about to lap everyone here, okay? So they've been up to the top. They're coming down to the bottom. They've stayed on the foils. Well, Peter Burling.
Look at this.
I don't know if we've ever seen anyone lap the whole fleet before. This is when the black foils are on fire, they're something else, aren't they?
This is an embarrassment of riches right now, Hannah.
That's right, but they are going to come back in contact with the fleet, so it's going to be really hard for them. They're not just going to be able to punch through and come out the other side, unless they can find a bit of a gap to get through.
As the umpire's penalty,
Peter Burling has been referred to as Harry Houdini several times,
GBR.
so potentially now we're about to see Moses part of the fleet coming through here. He's going to find a way through, potentially, the black foils. When you're going 3 times the speed, it's just like driving round a little fixed thing in the water. He's going to go round the outside here, no drama.
Deep here, rudder's on, mate. Rudder's on.
So as the black foils come through, you can just basically hear him saying, excuse me, pardon me, coming through, and he is not stopping for anyone.
He's a lap
ahead on the foils.
He's a lap ahead, far out. That's something else. That just shows you if you can get foiling on these boats, you just can fly away, you generate your own wind, you keep yourself going fast. And well, they found a way through there pretty well. That's got to be pretty demoralising.
There you go, the announcer curse, Stevie.
Well, he's done, okay.
He's got a whole lap to play with, though. I'm not worried about him not getting the victory, but that's...
Denmark are not going to be too far behind, though, there, Todd. Look, you can see them just towards the left-hand side of our screen. Got the number 2 on. It looks like they will have to follow New Zealand and take the left turn, which is potentially, well, very good news for New Zealand. But for Denmark, as we said, I think they'd be more than happy to have a second place here. But they're, over a kilometre ahead of the other boats they are.
Let's go wing down edge 2. Go for it, guys.
But there's a real battle. Look how tight it is meters-wise. 1,300 metres behind the leaders, but there's only 700 metres separating 3rd all the way back to 9th.
So if you're still trying to figure out who's in the lead, we can tell you right now, New Zealand is in the lead. They have lapped the field, and that's why they are back in the mix again with those other boats and still showing as number 1. Denmark sits in 2nd, so pretty clear-cut 1 and 2, and then the battle is on positions 3, 4, and 5. New Zealand got the whole shot checked out. Denmark went with them, and then Spain at mark number 1. Again, Stevie, like they did in race number 2, they started in the back, and they've moved themselves up into a top 3 position.
Yeah, I mean, both teams really doing a good job of working out how you play in this tight fleet racing situation, because there's just no space out there with 12 boats, but he seems to be finding it.
And Hannah, what we just saw in race number 2, there is a time limit on these races, so are you now thinking terminated race and just get ourselves as far as we can and get the closest spot we can?
Oh, we are. The black foils have just brought it home. The Emirates winning moment there, Todd, for the black foils. So they've managed to save a day. They'll be loving that, I can assure you. There's nothing that you can enjoy more than...
Talk about sneaking up on you. The Emirates winning moment sneaks up on us as we had no idea, well, I didn't at least, that New Zealand had one more turn to make, but they bring it home and they get the win. So race number 3 goes the way of the black foils. foils, and now we have plenty of time to decipher where they are. So race number 1, New Zealand got a second. Race number 2, they finished in 11th. There's your bad race. You can throw that one away. And race number 3, they get a win. So going into tomorrow, Hannah, they're going to be in a really good position.
Yeah, so we've got Rottwell, Denmark, middle of our screen. They're going to turn left now and follow New Zealand in. Then that's the first 2 boats, and then we're going to come back to a really good race from 3rd all the way to about 11th place, where there's going to be
2 different races.
Awful lot of points to be. Well, brilliant sailing by Rottwell, Denmark, and the Black Foils. You know, they thoroughly deserve that. They got a good start. They executed good manoeuvres, and they're going really well. But yeah, back in the pack, Spain, Brazil, and Italy could be huge races for them here. Italy, I mean, unfortunate in race 2, but they're up to 5th. And Spain, if they can turn this into another 3rd, I'd don't be surprised if they're leading overnight.
So here come the Danes, Rockwool, Denmark, approaching the finish line there at Governor's Island. As the fans in Adrenaline Lounge will get a great view of them. There you see Canada at the bottom of your screen. They're just coming through that last gate. They'll go up one more time and then make the cut back. But it will be Denmark finishing in 2nd place. Congratulations to Nikolai Sehested and his crew, 4 people on board. Remember, 3 on the first race, 4 on the second race, and 4 here again. So a lot of work for them to do, but a good finish. Denmark got a 3rd in race number 1, dropped back to a 10th on race number 2, and they get a 2nd on race number 3.
Yeah, and Spain up to 3rd there, top of our screen. They're turning around the bottom of the course. Mubadala, Brazil, good first day for Mubadala, Brazil. They sail very well in these tricky conditions. France, I kind of was hoping for a bit more from France here. They were starting brilliantly in practice, but Dilapia has not quite managed to make it happen so far today. A lot of racing left tomorrow, of course, for these teams. There's still plenty of racing to be done here, but they're losing a lot of points on day 1.
Some serious cloud cover over the southern tip of Manhattan as Spain is looking for some kind of pressure.
Okay, so trying to find some wind. It doesn't look like the Spanish have got an awful lot of wind.
Look at that.
It normally looks quite rock and roll bit on these F50s, but I think I'd rather be where we are at the moment because it looks pretty miserable out there. We're in the coffee grinder, in the flight controller POV camera there, brought to us by T-Mobile, and it's just so kind of cool to get on board and see the cockpit. We've got the foot pedals that bring things up and down. We saw the little control pad that lets Florian Trittel trim his wing sail. It's just all so detailed and high-tech on there. Oh, there we go. That's some serious resilience there. That's what we like to see. Spanish fans enjoying the action.
They do have the flag upside down, though. Just let them know. There you go. Vamos Gallos are looking for some kind of breeze right now coming off either Jersey City, Liberty Island, or Manhattan. They don't care where it comes from. They just need something to get them around that mark, and then they can head to the finish line in Governor's Island. Brazil, Mubadala, Brazil, they're heading down as well.
Yeah, these boats at the back here as well. France, 40 kilometres an hour. They are foiling. So are Germany, so are United States. So they've got a lot of pressure. If France can execute the next manoeuvre well, they could very easily be 3rd. But they're going to have to stay on the foils through this manoeuvre, which is easier said than done. So focusing on these 3 boats on our screen now. If they can stick the next manoeuvre, every chance to make huge gains. Expect to see France set up fairly soon. There goes the board drop on board France. They spin the boat. Can they keep it up on the foils?
Germany, Deutsche Bank also joined them. There you see the Americans.
France are foiling. They've nailed it. They're good. So they're looking to take a right turn, and they could go right up through the fleet here. Huge for Contan. He may even try for one more foiling manoeuvre if he can and look for a left turn. Pretty tense on board all these boats. United States, they've stuck their manoeuvre as well. They've made the turn. They're going to be coming in hot here.
We got left turn here. Up 1 hit. Got him. Go board over there. Drop the board when you can.
I think you go left turn as well here, Taylor. That makes good sense to me. Spain look like they've got themselves lined up with the final turning mark. They're all trying to come to this mark in the bottom and middle of our screen here. Italy, they need to get into that yellow circle and not be overlapped. I think they might be safe, so Italy should be okay here. But Brazil, wow, Brazil have lost a lot of places. They got light in the middle of the course, fell off the foils, and that mistake's potentially going to cost them 4 points.
Looks like Spain's back up in foiling.
Yeah, Spain's there, and they're going to turn to the finish. So Spain are good for the 3rd. Italy are going to be pretty good shape for the 4th. And then Emirates, Great Britain, United States, France, that battle in the middle of the pack there, it's so tight. The trouble you have with all this, isn't it, Hannah, is you make a decision about 2 minutes ago, and that affects what you've got now.
Yeah, that's right. Especially with this rain coming down, it's so hard to predict what's going to happen. Also, with the current, you can see how much the Spanish have been pushed down towards the bottom of the screen. They're going to have to work really hard to sail a low enough angle, keep enough wind to actually get to the finish line.
Yeah, it's been a huge wind shift. If you look on the right-hand side of our screen, you can see the Roos are sailing straight down the course. As soon as there's as much weather activity as this, the wind's changing direction a lot of the time. And what it's doing at the moment is it's meaning that, in theory, you can't go straight up and down the course. Well, the flying Roos can. And what's Slingsby going to do? Is he going to try and dive on the inside? Oh, my life, this is bold. He is brave. He doesn't have the rights. They judged that well. I mean, that fair play. That was absolutely brilliant judgment by the flying Roos.
So Tom Slingsby,
from
fresh
nowhere,
up there winning race number 2. The back of the pack, they have now moved all the way up, and they now are looking for some more points. As Spain brings it across officially, they finish in 3rd.
Good day for the Spanish, that. Tough day out here, really.
Content de la Pierre's got the French up and foiling too. It looks like they're going to grab 5th or 4th.
Yeah, France have done a lovely job again, just staying on the foils. Italy struggling. Emirates, Great Britain, there's maybe nearly for Brazil could be back in it here. It's all about how well you can launch the boat. Do you get a little gust of wind? Maybe the sailors will come in telling us there was a little bit of luck. We got a gust at just the moment we needed it. But I'm sure...
Yeah, I think Brazil's going to get that 5th.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it, Todd?
So Martini Grail and Mubadala Brazil, they slide past Red Bull Italy, and they go into 5th place. Red Bull Italy's still got to worry about Emirates GBR on their right-hand side. Do they have the speed to overtake them?
Well, Great Britain are going to do a lot of sailing. I think United States are going to be a big winner out of this one as well. They're going to gain a couple at the end here. It's so tight, 56 seconds to go. But I think Brazil have finished.
Oh, the USA, look at this.
Switzerland diving through on the inside. So the Roos have gone from 0 to 0 on this one. Look at that. They've made such a good move on the downwind. Italy, oh, this is disastrous for Red Bull Italy. So painful to watch. They sailed such a good race. But the Swiss, here come the Swiss. Where are they going to end up finishing here? Who's finished? Brazil have finished potentially 6th place here.
Look at this. The US is so close to getting 6th.
The
Here comes Switzerland.
The Swiss are going to do it, Todd. Swiss are going to get 6th. Wow. Oh, how's your timing, Seb Snyder? Perfect time to make the overtakes.
So the USA will have to settle for 7th, but a good comeback for them. And now the slow crawl, less than a minute before the race is terminated. In 10 seconds, matter of fact, GBR trying to get across the line to preserve that 8th place.
This is why sailing is such a fun and interesting sport, because it's not just a fixed track that you just drive around or a 100-metre lane that you just run up. The whole track has just shifted dependent on when the weather's gone through, and it's different length, it's longer, it's whatever. And the Roos were in the race, then they're out of the race, then they're in the race. The poor Italians had a great race there, and now they've dropped right back in the pack. It's just, I don't know.
That was a race within a race, and all the while, somehow the Black Foils of New Zealand found the win, passed everyone with 2 legs to go, snuck up on me and finished the race. We were talking about something else. They were so far ahead of everyone else. So it was New Zealand and Denmark, really, the class of the field on that one. The race has been terminated, so we will go back. As Stevie has pointed out, you get the last rounding of a mark before that race was terminated, as the helicopters now will peel away and they'll seek shelter, as we are expecting a big storm to come in here. But we did get the 3 races in, so that's a big thing. Much better conditions anticipated for tomorrow on Super Sunday here at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. Of race number 4 here just off of Governor's Island. Now we will be without our helicopters for a time because of air traffic restrictions in the area, but we will still bring you some amazing coverage both on the boat, on the water, and on the boat. So here we go as we get ready. Stevie, Hannah, this is going to be very interesting. We've got some great action out there, and again, Hannah, 12 boats in a very tight track.
A really tight track, and with the wind speed being up so much from yesterday, it's going to feel very different on board.
Under 60 seconds, and now the dance begins here on the Hudson as they get themselves into position into the start box.
Well, yeah, crucial times now, and that we saw yesterday teams were struggling in this pre-start. So first race of the day, new wind, new course setup. It's always quite hard to get yourself lined up. Be interesting to see the team strategies, USA and Spain, early to turn back. Should mean they've got a better judgment of their distance to the line, but will they be able to accelerate in? 33 seconds to go, and now the Black Foils towards the downwind end of the line. They look like they've got a good controlling position. They're going to be just watching out for Mubadala Brazil, and Germany making a late charge in underneath them here, defending move by the New Zealand crew. They try and block the Germans, and now they work their way up, squeezing the fleet above them. Rockwool Denmark to the left of the screen. They've got space. How can they time it from that top end of the line, though? It's going to be hard. They'll have a fast angle to Mark 1. Won't be easy to control the Rockwool Denmark boat with the foils there. Here go New Zealand. Here come Mubadala Brazil. Now it's timing, and it's a drag race from here. Brilliant start by the Spanish. Great from Denmark as well, but they're going to struggle to keep those fast foils in the water on this reach to Mark 1. The Bond flying roos are flying too high there.
So as they approach mark number 1, this is fleet race number 4, and once again, it is the Spanish showing everyone their tail lights.
Oh, Botín and crew, what a job they've done on that first leg there. Joel Rodriguez, the flight controller, hats off to him, handling that F50 at the speed. And look how quickly the first turn comes. There'll be less wind in under the fans here, and they're going to all look to manoeuvre away early. Spain in the lead, they control it. New Zealand are blocked. Oh, they're all getting blocked. Italy control the turn. Rockwool Denmark, the British managed to find a way out there. It's so tight after Mark 1 as the teams try and avoid that light wind under the fans.
Completely different day from yesterday. You can see some of the teams just struggling with that first maneuver. We're going to have to see how that plays out as we get to gate 2.
So now an opportunity to catch your breath as they make their way around mark number 1. We've got 8 legs here. This is race number 4. We've got 2 more fleet races, and then only the top 3 teams will race in a winner-take-all event final. But right now, Stevie, Hannah, Spain looks to be the class of the field.
Yeah, they're well out in front. The current is coming it's pulling them up, down, away from the bottom gate here. So I think there could be some extra manoeuvres on this downwind leg, and it'll be interesting to see what the crews choose to do. My guess is there's more wind to the left of our screen. A right turn early from Spain, and then to try and head that way could be good. But we're going to learn a lot. Mubadala Brazil, brilliant first downwind leg. They're up to second. Spain lead at gate 2, and it's going to be now a case of learning the course.
Paralleling boundary here.
In the shadow of Lady Liberty, they make the turn, and they are on to the next leg at gate number 2, the DP World Gate. And it's Brazil that opts for their side, and the black foils get a big dip there and a taste of Hudson water. But it is still Spain, Brazil, France, and Germany, your top 4.
On New Zealand are off the foils. Lisa, you're down in the water. Which side of the course do you think's paying early on this upwind leg?
Yeah, get out, board.
I really like where Brazil's going. They come out, there's more pressure on this side. It's also flatter water. So they've just happened with Spain there is they weren't going to make the lay, which is why they had to do that extra maneuver.
Great, interesting stuff there. As we look here, we see the wind speed there, and Lisa's point really rains out. The Oracle Cloud showing us 26 kilometers an hour for Spain. Brazil in nearly 5 kilometers an hour more wind. That could be up to, I don't know, 8 or 9 kilometers an hour more boat speed for the Brazilians right now. So there it is, lead change. Brazil with the right of way. That's going to be a massive gain to Brazil, but Spain are now heading towards that favoured side of the course. Will they make a gain late on leg 2?
You can see the difference in colour on the water, just demonstrating how much pressure difference there is. The difference between the most pressure and the least pressure is going to make a huge impact on your boat speeds.
First season for Mubadala Brazil and their driver Martini Grail. She's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 2-time world champion, the 2014 Sailor of the Year. She is at the wheel.
This is the umpires. Penalty Australia. Port tack boat not keeping clear. Go behind Switzerland.
Okay, that'll be interesting how much that hurts Brazil. That sounds like Tom thinks he was maybe questioning Craig Mitchell there. Had to confirm things. But it looks like a big lead for Mubadala Brazil at the moment. They're sailing the boat beautifully. Here they go. They look set up for the top gate here. Paul Goodison there calling for a straight-in right. He's no more manoeuvres for Brazil. Right turn coming up, and they're going to head off to that windier side of the course again. Beautiful upwind leg. Massive lead for the Brazilians at this point in the race.
Well, the fans in the Adrenaline Lounge and on the bleachers are getting a great view right now of the world's best sailors here. This is event number 6 of the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix as they make the turn, and this is one of the busiest waterways in the world, and to be able to close it down to bring these boats in here, Stevie and Hannah, is amazing. But it is Brazil. Will this be the race that they get their first win in SailGP?
Well, they're well ahead at the moment, and they're heading on the favoured side of the course. I think what's interesting with this current, Hannah, is you're having to spend a lot more time on one tack than the other, so it's not an easy course to overtake on.
No, that's right, and you can see the boats that are coming from the bottom of the screen and trying to do that right turn at the top. They don't have right of way, so they've got to pick their way through it and make it really, really difficult to make the right decision at that point.
I think what'll be interesting today, Todd, in this race to the final, we saw a lot of inconsistent results yesterday. Gusty, shifty breeze, very tight course. Consistency's not going to be easy today either.
On to leg 4 of 6. It is still Brazil, Spain, and France 1, 2, and 3.
I know we're only halfway through the season, but Canada and Great Britain are in the shot here. They were right up the leaderboard on the overall standings, and USA as well. They're struggling at the back of the pack in this race, but this could be huge for the season points here, you know.
2, 1, and turning.
Even if you're not making the event final, you've got to still get a solid result if you want to make the grand final at the end of the year. Brazil, favoured turn for Spain here. Spain take the left turn. It was a right turn last time that Brazil, sorry, it's a left turn where Spain are going that Brazil gained from last time. Lisa, is that now good news for Spain?
Yeah, I definitely think Spain's going to more pressure, and the reason that is Governor's Island, that's creating a wind shadow on the left-hand side. So, you know, it really comes down to the geography, but it probably wasn't worth that. The other thing is, with the gusty conditions like this, the angles are changing, so the ley lines are so hard to pick.
There we go, it's calling it pretty tricky to judge out on the water. We've got the event live, these are live event standings, so this should be who got to the final at the moment. And look at that, Brazil with this result, currently showing as making the final, but it's really tight. There's a lot of play here.
And there's still 2 more fleet races to go today on Super Sunday, but Brazil looking very good and in position to get their first win in SailGP League history for them. So Spain sits in second. France, Stevie, who always seems to do well in big wins, they've got to be pretty happy about what they're seeing coming across at 26 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, they love this. Okay, so Goodison here, Coolin Martini wants to push towards the ley line. Brazil are going to try and get there in one more manoeuvre. They're just up here, one more manoeuvre, then they look for a left turn. Spain's option will be a last-minute dive inside at this final top mark, but this could be the moment for Mubadala Brazil. Yet to win a race in SailGP. Could this be the first one? Big advantage at the moment, but can Spain make a late dive in at the top mark? 2 more manoeuvres for Spain, no more manoeuvres for Brazil.
No issues, it's just other than a left turn to finish.
Talked about this yesterday, Todd. We said Russell Cooks called a victory for Brazil. Soothsayer, he's got it happening.
SailGP CEO Russell Coots said time was coming, and Martini Grail and company, they make the turn, and now they head for home, and they will come right in front of the Adrenaline Lounge as history will be made on the Hudson as Brazil, Mubadala Brazil with Martini Grail at the wheel, look to claim their first victory in SailGP as they come to the line, and the Emirates Woody moment for the first time goes the way of the Brazilians. Martini Grail and Mubadala Brazil win race number 4. How about that?
Oh, what a race. Spanish bring it home second. Another solid one for them, but France in third, and New Zealand have worked their way back to fourth. This could be huge to try and get to this event final, but Mubadala Brazil, what a tricky race to make your first race win as well. Tight in the pack, isn't it, Todd? Look, Australia, the Flying Roos, they're out the back. They've lost a lot of places on this upwind. Not sure what went wrong for Brazil, but this, sorry, for Australia, but this could be disastrous in terms of getting to the event final. Oh, Italy needed to give Switzerland space. Oh, that was sporty. Don't be surprised to see Craig Mitchell getting asked a question. I think the Italians might have just been clear. Great Britain have got the right of way here. They should be allowed room in there. There could be more protests.
2-1 pressure.
That's the umpires. Penalty Italy. Not giving Mark room, go behind Switzerland.
Oh, so that's going to be a go behind Italy. Will finish behind Switzerland on the overall, though. Invert those results you can see on the left side there. It's really, really tight in at that final turning mark.
So the Bonds Flying Roos come ahead of Germany, Deutsche Bank. They will get the nod there. They will hold on to that position.
They got a penalty as well, Todd. They're going to lose back behind the British, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they had to give room as well. Yep. Same room. As soon as the boat's diving on the inside, it looked pretty reckless from the British, but they were entitled to turn on the inside there.
So what we can tell you for sure is that Brazil gets the win, Spain finishes in second, and France in third. And then at the end of the race, a series of comms coming from Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell, so we will have to sort out the next 4 or 5 positions.
On the downwind, right?
Yeah, I think that could be a feature of today. When it's this gusty and shifty, things will change quite late on, and that final turning marks most people's opportunity to make an overtake if you're going to dive in.
So there you see the standings. 6 points clear are Spain, the winners of the last event, and the Season 4 champions. And then it's France, Brazil, New Zealand, Denmark. Stevie, it's tough to see the Australians that far down the leaderboard. We're used to seeing them usually in the top 3 or 4.
A couple of mistakes in that race. It'll be interesting to see what they can do from here. I think ultimately, I suppose for them now, it's full gunslinger mode. You've got to go win the next 2 races and hope some other teams make mistakes.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely some unforced errors from the Bonds Flying Rouge over the last couple of races, but we've seen in some of the clips of the boat sailing, it's really hard to keep the boat stable. We've talked a lot about the flight controllers. They've got a really tough day today.
They've got a big day, and I think what's also interesting is a lot of the teams with maybe more horsepower in the grinding position, so the bigger units on pumping those handles, are able to move the wing sail a lot quicker in and out. And every time the wind speed changes, you need to change the power in that wing sail. So I think the teams with the big grinders are going to have solid advantage today.
Well, you want parity, we've got it for you on Super Sunday here in New York City. We've had 4 fleet races so far this regatta. We've had 4 different winners. Spain, Bonds Flying Rouge, Australia, New Zealand, and Brazil have all got wins, and now the battle is on in the last 2 races before the event final.
Yeah, and other than the Spanish, it's an absolute blanket, really, from France, New Zealand, Brazil, and Denmark are all within just 1 point of each other. Important to remember as the day progresses, any tie-break is broken by the result of the last race. Bit of a late manoeuvre in there by Brazil. They've got to try and keep clear now. They're going to be struggling for position here, but they're all about acceleration with 22 seconds to go. Is there a gap for Brazil towards the right-hand side of our screen? I'm not sure I see it, but Canada look a little early back. The right-hand side of screen, New Zealand, the black foils are up and foiling. The Flying Rouge try and block Burling, but I think it might be too little too late. 9 seconds to go. It's going to be Australia and New Zealand at the bottom of the line. Spain at the top. Who's judged it right as the line goes white? Oh, Botin again out the gun like a bullet, but it's going to be the black foils on the inside that I think will be able to dominate from here and lead at Mark 1.
So New Zealand having the inside line as they approach mark number 1 here in race number 5. The winner gets 10 points and that much closer to the event final.
Oh, but Italy have sailed so fast. Oh, Tessie on the flight control. What a job the Italians have done there. Full absolute send by Red Bull Italy. Bit of a better turn away by New Zealand. New Zealand control the first decision. They should be able to manoeuvre away first. And now it's all about what happens back in the pack. Bonds Flying Rouge, they're so high, and Italy again. Oh, the Rouge are up and jumping out the water. Massive error as the board dropped there. Got too high, splashed down. It's a full reset for the Bonds Flying Rouge after that one.
Rolling away in 2.
They're going to have to work really hard to get that boat back up to speed again. And we see Emirates, Great Britain had a nice manoeuvre out of that corner.
Italy have done it as well. It's just so hard out on the water. Every time a gust is, the boats are just flying out. They're on too big a foil today, Todd.
All right, let's go down to the water. Lisa Darman, and what are you seeing? Have the conditions changed that much from what we saw in race number 4?
No, they're quite similar, Todd, but what I'd say is when you have these bullets of pressure, you know, changing the angle and changing the speed, changes the forces on the foils. And as you guys said, the foils are too big for these conditions, and then everyone's just making mistakes all over the place here.
And I think also to say that we've been racing on the T-foils the last few events. We're back on the light air L-shaped foils, so the teams who have spent a lot of time on these, maybe they can pick them up a bit quicker, but all the teams really battling with their boat handling at the moment.
Stevie, so what do you equate that to? How would you basically break that down to casual viewers going from the T-foils that we had on the West Coast, California lay, and now on the L-foils here in New York City?
I think it's a bit like changing the car you drive in, and then not only that, we've gone from quite a smooth road to a country back lane. I don't know if you have them in America, but in the UK we have some pretty old bumpy roads, so the car doesn't want to stick in the road as well, and every time it's changing, it's just so much harder. But I think more importantly, we come back to the standings here, and it's all changed. Spain at the moment, right at the back of the pack, they miss out on the final by courtesy of a tie break. Of course, tie breaks are decided by whoever does best in the last race. All to do for Spain here. Brazil, France, they're doing the job at the moment, but it's still so tight. Spain have got to find some magic on the upside part of this course now.
So Diego Botin and company go to work out on the Hudson. Remember, they won the last event in San Francisco. They are the defending champions from season 4. And here we go. The battle is on leg 3 of 6, race number 5. After this, we'll have one more fleet race, and then it's just the top 3 teams.
It's a left turn at the bottom of the course again for France. New Zealand couldn't quite make it to that bottom gate without doing an extra manoeuvre, and France took the left turn and they're out in front. It's been a funny old thing. I remember yesterday saying I didn't think France had done all that well, but actually they'd sailed so consistently. They've sailed brilliantly again today, really without shining too bright, but this is their moment. We're on the T-Mobile 5G POV camera right on board. Look how balanced they keep the boat here. We're looking for that left-hand side of screen to stay dry. It does. Perfect tack there. They turn the boat through the wind on the French boat beautifully.
And when the French are in some space, they can be really dangerous. They can sail the boat really fast, really nicely. They tend to struggle a little bit more when there's boats around them. So if they can get away now, then I think it'll be really hard to catch them.
Stevie, this may be a champion in plain sight. We have not talked much about Content Delapierre and the French. They've had their ups and downs this season. They currently sit in 6th place overall after 5 events, 11 points back of the leaders, the Bons Flying Roos.
Yeah, I mean, France, of course, you know, they're very good in these conditions. I remember we had an event in Sydney in season 4 where it got pretty lively on the first day and they won every race. And it was just great. I mean, here we go, it's huge. Rockwool, Denmark, they're right in that fight for the grand final, but they're going to have to lose 20 metres for going out of bounds. Could be really costly. The Bons Flying Roos are back in it. Slingsby's not one to give up a fight, but he's going to have to go full Wolverine mode if he wants to get himself back into this one.
Shocking to see Spain on the outside, just 1 point. They've been so consistent over the first 4 races, not finishing really outside the top 5.
No, I mean, it's, you know, never a good time for last place, but this would really be a bad one for Spain. They've looked so consistent, but there's still half a lap to go, so they'll be thinking we've got opportunity to make some overtakes. As we see Canada and USA close together here, Canadians have the right on the inside here. They're entitled to turn left if they need to. Spain have got a really tricky call to make. What do they do here? Going to have to do an extra turn. Oh, it's a tricky one for Spain. That's not going to help them in this race to the final.
Vamos. Go in 5. We need speed, bear away. And 3. We need to fly. 2, 1, down.
I love that call. We need speed.
Yeah, we need speed and we need to fly. I think if you tried to turn one of these boats away from the wind like that, not foiling, they're just too slow and they could really easily tip over with the extra load. But as we come around the course, you see those dark patches on the water. It's really gusty out there, Hannah.
Yeah, and that's making the boat even harder to sail. And you can just see how some of those dark patches are hitting really hard as well. And the angle difference that makes, so the flight controller, the wing trimmer, and the driver have to be so in sync in these conditions.
Trying to give you the best angles we can, but as we've mentioned before, there are air restrictions in place here in Lower Manhattan, so no helicopter coverage for the time being. France has a 5-second lead right now, as they still hold on to that first place spot, and the event standings look like this right now. Spain, because they've taken over more spots, Stevie, look at that. They get themselves in on the tiebreak, but look at it goes back and forth between them and Brazil.
Yeah, there's nothing in it, and at the back of the pack, you've of course got that opportunity to make some places, but what they've done is they've brought themselves right back into the fight, and it's going to be a monumental final race. Lisa, it looks to me as though the French have sailed the exact same pattern with a left turn at the bottom first time, right turn at the bottom second time, as Brazil did to race 1. Is that the pattern the teams have got to take?
Yeah, it seems what the French is they had the least amount of maneuvers and they stayed in the best pressure for the longest amount of time. One thing I would say that it is getting gustier, so the difference between the top end speed and the bottom end speed is bigger now, so staying is everything.
Well, thank you, Lisa. There's your Rolex chasing time, and that is now Great Britain trying to close the gap on New Zealand. Emirates GBR, they sit in 3rd place, 5 seconds back. That would be a big shift. If they can move up a position, Stevie, bump the Kiwis back. And this is a very tight spot as they go to like 6 of 6. We will focus our attention now on the team out in front, and that is France. They will pick up a win here, and this is going to be enormous because we have had 5 races here in New York City, 5 different winners, and the Emirates Woody moment goes to the French here on the Hudson.
Brilliant race by them, sailed superbly from the start, really found the opportunity to overtake. Tight moment between New Zealand and Great Britain. It was clean for me. The Black Falls have come second, consistently the best team so far today. But Mubadala, Brazil, they're going to follow in behind Emirates Great Britain. Good result for Emirates Great Britain with a 3rd. They need that in terms of the season. Don't think they've got any hope of making the final here really now. But Mubadala, Brazil, 1st and a 4th on Super Sunday.
And right behind Mubadala, Brazil will be the Bons Flying Roos trying to salvage the day. They'll come in 5th, just ahead of Germany.
Good result for the Germans here as well. Eric Kyle is going to be pretty happy with these ones. This kind of condition should suit them, like a gusty, shifty day. As we can see in the pack now, Rockwool, Denmark, they're out towards the back. The United States having a better race here, but Spain, they've not managed to do much overtaking here at all. The Spanish still sat in 10th place, and this is a disaster for them in that race to the final here in New York.
So a 7th for Taylor Canfield and the Team USA SailGP as they cross the line. Not the performance they've wanted on the 3 events here in the U.S., but a 7th here matches their best performance that they got yesterday in race number 3. Red Bull Italy now streaking towards the finish line.
Yeah, a great top leg at the start for Red Bull Italy. I think they'll be feeling quite positive about that. They had a bit of a moment on the first downwind leg, but as Hannah suggested, trying to control these boats with these big foils, there's just too much lift. It's like you've got too big a wing on, so the boats really want to jump out of the water, and a slight change in the foil angle makes a bit of a difference. Sorry, we heard a bit of dodgy language there.
So now the teams get themselves into the start box as we go under 90 seconds to go until the start of the 6th and final fleet race, and then only the top 3 teams on points will be in the championship final.
It's so toe tight, isn't it, Todd? And I think we've got to have to keep an eye on those points, Hannah, aren't we? I think we've got France, we've got Spain, we've got New Zealand, we've got Mubadala, Brazil. They're all in an absolute fight to get to that final.
Yeah, that's right. And we can see from what Nicole was saying just how hard it is to get around the course. You could be sailing the boat really well, but if you get locked on the outside and you have to go round the fleet, your race can change in just an instant.
And we're getting word now with 50 seconds to go before the start of race number 6 that Rockwell Denmark are retiring. So not clear on what the situation is, but obviously they do not feel comfortable taking that boat out there. So what was 12 is now 11 teams fighting for those spots in TV. Stevie, I don't know if that really changes the dynamic much, other than there'll be a little more room in the start box and at Mark 1.
I don't think it'll change a lot. I mean, absolutely gutting for Rockwell Denmark. I mean, it's probably better news that they didn't have a good last race. Otherwise, they might have been really disappointed. But we come back to the screen. Right-hand side of screen, we've got Mubadala, Brazil. They're on a long run up here. New Zealand, middle of the pack. Spain up towards the top end of the line, looking for a fast angle. And France, well, Delapierre's going to have to try and find his way through a gap. 10 seconds to go. It looks oh so tight in and around that start. Mubadala, Brazil could be a little bit late back to the line here for my liking. 4 seconds to go. Rolex pole predictor sits on New Zealand. Burling spins the boat towards Mark 1, and it's now a drag race. France are out the back. Spain are out the back. Brazil are out the back. This is going to be a battle from the back to get to the final.
2, 1. They'll not get over them. Copy. They get over Aussies or no? No, probably.
Oh, the black foils are well positioned on the inside here, Todd. It's an absolute drag race, but I think New Zealand will potentially lead unless the Roos have just got the inside. They've just got an overlap. Slingsby gives a nudge to Burling. Burling keeps it safe, and it's going to be the boxing crews that get round first. They fly around, and they're going to be setting themselves up for gate 2.
So Peter Burling plays it smart and gives room to his arch rival, Tom Slingsby, on the inside, playing it safe, so the whole shot goes the way of the Bonds Flying Roos. They get the Rolex Sprint Leader Award on race number 6, and now they go to work.
See how crucial it is here. Look at the angle that Canada have got left-hand side of screen. They're sailing nearly straight down those ladder lines. Well lined up for gate here on board Canada. A magical wind shift for Giles Scott. They're going to make some serious gains here.
Penalty Spain. Port tack boat not keeping clear. Go behind Brazil.
Oh, that's massive for the overalls here. Spain have got to lose a couple of places, and they need to lose them quick.
So we'll keep our eye on Spain and Brazil, because that really is the battle to see who's going to get into that top 3. France also precariously positioned right now. Why? Because they are sitting in 11th place. They need to make up some room and make up some spots quick.
Oh, it shows you what press will do. We're on board gate 2 camera there. Canada have made the overtake stick. The Roos are in second, and then the black foils, well, they're going to be taking the first turn. They're turning right here, which has not been a great move, but most importantly, they're well ahead of their main rivals for that race to the final. Let's remember, it's all about what Spain, Brazil, and France can do to get back through the fleet.
Press hard. Wider, no wider, rolling up here.
We're hearing from on board the Flying Roos there. It's so hard when the boats split so early after that gate mark, because you can't control what the other boats are doing. We know there's a bit more wind offshore, so we'll have to see how they come back.
Yeah, live results show it's so close at the moment. Spain are the team to miss out. That would be unheard of. But Lisa, it seems like there's been a big shift in the wind. Is there a different side of the course working now?
Like a possible header in this gust.
So to me, it looks like the wind has shifted a little bit more to the right, which means it's more of an open course, as Governor's Island is not creating such a shadow. And that also means there's actually less gusty out here. Still gusty though.
So we'll see what happens with Spain. They currently sit in 9th on a penalty. Brazil right in front of them on 8th. So the situation is this: if Spain can overtake Brazil and even the USA, they will get themselves into that top 3. But as it stands right now, they are 1 point back of Mubadala, Brazil. New Zealand and France would be in safe.
Yeah, sometimes when it's really shifty, it's hard to lose the penalty. I thought I heard Craig Mitchell say, get behind Brazil. for the penalty on Spain. It's still not scrubbed off them. They look like they're definitely well behind to me at this point in time. Now it's gone. Okay, so now we're in a straight race, but you can see it's cost Spain more than just one place to clear that penalty. They're now got to gain a couple of places here. They're on the right of way. Penalty clear. Here we go. Let's go, says Diego Portin. There's leg 3 of 6. They've got half a race to get themselves back in the final.
And the Bonds Flying Roos with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds as new ownership as they watch them go through the gate looking for a big win here. Remember, Australia won race number 2 on Saturday in just messy conditions, and here they are bouncing back. But I don't know if this is going to be enough, Stevie, to get them in, even if they do get the win.
Well, they're not going to get to the final, I don't think, from here, Todd, at all, but they've made a massive gain on the upwind leg. You can see how shifty the wind is, simply by the distance they've made to gain over Canada. Remember, they went round behind Canada at gate 2, and at gate 3, they're about 400 or 500 metres ahead. So the wind's changing direction a lot. There's a lot of opportunities for
this
team
is the umpire's
to set up
penalty
gates.
GBR, not giving room when altering course, go behind Canada.
Costly for the British there. They're going to be livid about that. Controversial one, that, for Craig Mitchell there. You're only allowed to move at a certain speed, and I thought in this kind of game you'd be allowed to move a bit quicker than that. Tight in the pack. Spain are having to dip behind some boats. Mubadala, Brazil are 8th, though. They're right in the traffic jam, and France turn right as well. Lisa, right turn for France, left turn for Mubadala, Brazil. Which one do you like?
Nice. Okay,
I actually think Mubadala, Brazil, is in really nice pressure. There's pockets of pressure all over the course. It's not really one way. You've got to sail the pressure you have at the time, as it's so erratic around the course.
So right now it is New Zealand and France. They look to be set in the event final, and the battle is on for that third and final position. Spain 1 point behind Brazil, Stevie. So by my calculations, they need to pick up 2 more spots on the course, and they've got to do it in the last two legs.
Well, yeah, that's right, but probably maybe even potentially only 1 spot, Todd. Because remember, if they can get back to a tie break and they're ahead of Brazil, that's okay.
True.
But yes, they probably do need to jump all the way up to being ahead of Brazil, given the place they might need to get. Oh, it's so tight. Look, left-hand side there. Luckily, we've got the Oracle Cloud keeping us up to date, because it's changing every second. As we can see, New Zealand, well, they look well set for the final as they turn left. They're out of trouble. France and Brazil are about to have a close cross in the middle of the pack, and that's really where this battle lies. France, Brazil, Spain. Look at them, absolutely tied together on a piece of string, and there's a lot of wind shifts out here, so there's plenty to change.
There's the battle.
Brazil turn left, France turn right. Spain are going to follow France by the look of it, so Spain need a lucky wind shift from here.
Okay, going to be a big righty where the French are, so we're going to take that across. So just push into this.
Oh, that's Paul Goodison on board, their strategist. He's talking about the wind rotating to the right. Well, that's great news for Brazil if it does. It's so tight out there, Hannah.
Yeah, it is, and you can hear it's kind of that tempo is really rising on board, but they've got to keep it calm, keep the manoeuvres really simple, take advantage of the shift, sail the shortest distance around the course to stay ahead of Spain.
Let go of the wheel.
Ooh, they look like they dipped down just a little bit, but it looks like they kept it foiling. So now the battle really on between Spain and Brazil. Can the Spanish move up another position, or will Mubadala Brazil get in their first event final? We saw them get their first race win in race number 4 to start off Super Sunday. And here we go. It comes down to this. Right now it's France, New Zealand, and Spain, Stevie, has moved in front of Brazil.
Massive game. You see this dark patch of water where Spain are? It looks like they've just found an absolute rocket launcher gust there. That's like you're playing Mario Kart and you've got a super rocket to fire you up through the fleet. Absolute genius, or a little bit of lady luck, we don't know, but Spain have made it count. Massive game. Brazil needs some magic to get them back in this now.
So coming down to the final leg, and it is all but done, as it looks like the Bonds Flying Roos are going to get the win. The Emirates winning moment goes to Tom Slingsby and the Australians. They win race 2 and they win race 6.
Turning a little, just watch your sheet, Tash.
Here we go. The battle, of course, is happening further back down the fleet here. Canada, this could be good for their overalls here. Can they, get a solid result for the overall positions? Great Britain as well. Some of the teams that really haven't performed this weekend, putting on a great last race there. Really good race for Emirates, Great Britain as well in that overall battle. But we see coming in the background, New Zealand in 4th, France in 5th. That's what we're going to be looking at as a race for the final here. Spain and Brazil is still super tight. It's going to be be really close on points, but crucially Spain are ahead of Brazil and maybe about to make a nice dive in on board the United States. How have they done that? They've just sailed straight through the wind shadow and Brazil are pinned out. Oh no, it's a bit of a shocker for Mubadala Brazil. I don't know how the Spanish have just sailed straight through the wind shadow of the Americans there, but that's a great result for Botín. I think that's going to get them to the final here. What a tight race, but what a moment. Mubadala Brazil have sailed a great weekend, but just
the
those last
umpires,
meters.
Penalty Brazil, go behind Germany.
Oh, they're going to drop back.
All the way to last, unfortunately, Todd.
So Italy will get 9th. And it looks like Germany will get 10th. With Brazil needing a big performance, couldn't pull it off. Stevie, they were 2 legs away from punching their ticket in, and just not to be.
Well, I think it's the nature of this kind of racetrack. Things can change pretty quickly. I mean, they've sailed brilliantly. I'm sure there'll be an awful lot of positives to take, and I imagine right now they're hurting, but it's good to hurt because it shows you care.
Under 90 seconds to go before the start of the event final, we check in down on the water with Lisa Darman. And Lisa, what can you tell us about conditions, and who do you like?
I mean, the French are looking so good. New Zealand won here last year, and Spain have just been outstanding all season. So it's a hard one to pick. It's sail your own race, sail the pressure you're in. It's snakes and ladders out here.
So 65 seconds away from the start here in New York City.
Well, Lisa gave us the full coaching smorgasbord of cliches there, didn't she? And all of the ones that you can take on. Basically, as Pete said, this one's not going to be over till it's over.
For the non-sailors out there, Hannah Diamond, snakes and ladders, translate that.
Well, we've been seeing how hard the boats are to sail in these conditions, and the difference in the winds, in the gusts, the lulls is massive. So you can't rest on your laurels. You're going to have to make sure you're sailing the best strategy and as fast as you can around the course.
All right, here we go. It is the final dance in the start box. 30 seconds away from the event final here at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
They're all fighting for this downwind end of the line there. Spain and New Zealand, it was tight. Fans are going to get a good view of this. Rolex pole predicts on France. They do have a little bit of space, but they're not foiling. The other 2 boats are up and running. Don't think it'll be hard to get on the foils, but it's going to be hard to judge the start. Spain control New Zealand at the moment. France have got their own bit of space. It is all about timing. Here come the French. They wind it up, but Quentin de Lipierre dives for the inside, but is he late? Line's going to go wide. It looks like Botín's got it right. What a start by the Spanish. France are out the back. Spain have control at the first mark, and they're going to lead the fleet away.
Vamos, guys. What do you want for the
Look at the speed, nearly 67 kilometers an hour as they hit 70 now, as they hit mark number 1 at the event final. It will be the Spanish that have the lead, the defending champions from season 4 and winners of the last race. They are out in front, the black foils right behind, and France with some work to do.
Oh, we're on board Mark 1, but that was lovely work by the Spanish. They worked themselves up to give themselves a good exit to Mark 1. Textbook stuff, but they made a little error in the board drop there. New Zealand spin first. New Zealand will put disturbed air onto Spain and expect France to stretch slightly wide on the course and try and minimise manoeuvres. New Zealand now, they've got to put the hammer down, but it's going to be hard to catch the Spanish here. Spain look well lined up for gate 2 at the moment.
Yeah, that's right, and it might be that there's 2 extra manoeuvres for both these boats. We'll have to see what angle they come down. If they can just close those ladder lines down a little bit more, they might be able to make it round to turn left in 1.
There we go, it's a question. I think what he's saying is that when it's tricky to do good manoeuvres, you want to minimise the number of manoeuvres you do. But it looks to me like New Zealand think they've got to do another one. They can't make it in 1. They manoeuvre, Spain manoeuvre first. Oh no, Spain were later to manoeuvre than Burling thought. Would be surprised to see a protest there, but I think the right of way was all okay for Spain then. They just about pushed the limits of the rule, but they got it right. All boats are going to turn right, it looks like here. Great news if you're leading.
And Hannah, you're surprised to see France following the other 2 and not opting for the other side?
Yeah, I am. I think probably they opted for 1 manoeuvre just rather than 2. So it's definitely on that cusp of can we push or do we need to just put on pressure from behind?
I think for me, in this situation, Todd, we're early in the race, very shifty, a lot to happen. Don't do something that you know is going to be wrong early on in the race. Keep yourself in the fight. Opportunities could come on later. Lisa, what are you seeing out there on the water? Do you like it where the New Zealand boat are headed right now?
Yeah, I really like where New Zealand's heading. In about 30 seconds, they're going to hit a big pocket of pressure, and that's what's going to take them back up to this top gate.
So there are the black foils, winners of last year's event here on the Hudson. We're halfway into leg 3 of 6. This is the event final, winner take all.
Well, it's good news for New Zealand right now. Look, 25 kilometres an hour of wind. They've got nearly 3 kilometres an hour more wind. That should mean more boat speed. We're not seeing it just yet. So the Spanish team have clearly got it set up to go fast on board there. New Zealand will have the right of way when they come back together, but they need the wind to turn in their direction to try and cut down this distance. Accurate manoeuvres, absolutely crucial now in Spain, where we don't see them make a lot of mistakes. New Zealand are going to turn, and then Spain will turn right in front of them. Disturbed wind will go onto the New Zealand boat. It's going to be hard for the Kiwis on this leg to make any overtake. Still, only just about getting to the halfway point in the race here, Todd. It's all about accurate manoeuvres still.
You can always tell how tense the situation is by how quick Diego Botín speaks Spanish. He goes in rapid fire.
He does go in rapid fire, but I think he'll be pretty happy now. They're well set up directly in front of the New Zealand boat, putting disturbed wind onto them, and they'll probably be able to guess from here that New Zealand have to turn to the right, so they're going to try and shut that move down. Oh no, they could both go left. This is a big move here by the Spanish. I'm surprised at this. They've made a more complex manoeuvre. This is going to make it tight. They must see more wind there. And the Spanish turning for more wind here, do you think, Lisa?
With me. Nice to lead, real nice. Big lead.
Yeah, I think where the Spanish are going, it's just there's so many bullets out here. What I mean by that is that there's thin slivers of extra pressure where Spain is, and where they're going to hit right now, it's going to knock them closer down towards the finish, I mean the mark, and also help them accelerate.
And we have seen that right turn on this second lap be really powerful, so it might be that they're taking a little loss at the bottom to pick up a potential, at the top, sorry, to get a potential gain at the bottom.
Oh, it's a big call though, because you know when you do an extra manoeuvre, for sure you lose some distance. So you've got to be absolutely certain that there's a gain to be found out there. Now these are the best sailors in the world, so you'd assume they are absolutely certain, but it was a big call by the Spanish at this point in the race, and if they've set it up to give New Zealand a split at the bottom, it could be opportunity knocks. Right of way Spain. New Zealand are coming in from the right hand side, but it's Spain with the right of way, and it looks like they've held their lead, maybe even gained. Botin's got it right.
So the Rolex chase time now turns the favor of the Spanish, the Season 4 defending champions, as they turn the tables on the black foils, and they'll get to the DP World Gate first as they make their way. Leg 4 of 5, make it leg 5 of 6.
And you see left-hand side of the screen, New Zealand are just forcing the issue here. They had to drop 2 boards to get that turn. Always going to be a hard manoeuvre. They got slow doing that, and that could be costly. They felt like this was the time to roll the dice. They had to take a different turn. If they followed Spain, they're definitely behind. You get slow, you're going to lose a lot of distance. They might well lose the French here, and this is just good news for the Spain. Basically, this is a victory walk. We saw Carlos Alcaraz only earlier come back with a victory at Roland Garros to take the French Open in the tennis, with the sort of fighting performance we're seeing from the Spanish right now.
And it's those kind of decisions that they made at that top mark which either kind of set you apart from the rest of the fleet. You sometimes got to be willing to take that risk.
20 minutes ago, Spain were on the outside looking in fleet race number 6 as they were behind Mubadala, Brazil, to even make it into the event final. They come in as the 3rd place team in the winner-take-all, and the team that won in San Francisco looked to be on their way to claiming back-to-back victories here in Season 5.
Yeah, just one more good manoeuvre, Todd, but they could make a terrible manoeuvre, to be honest, and they'd still be absolutely fine. They're sailing the boat so fast when they're in space. They've just not started well today, but if you're going to do a good start, do it in the last race of the day, do it in the final, get it done, and they've got that done. Here we go, watching on board the Spanish. Can they keep it foiling through here? Looks good for me. First team going to go back to back here, Todd.
You look at their report card for Spain. They started the event off with a 1st place finish. Then they come back with a 4th, and they wrap up day number 1 with a 3rd. On day number 2, they come out with a 2nd. Race number 5, they just really had a terrible performance. They finished in 11th. They bounced back in race number 6 to finish 7th, and that was good enough to get them into the final. And here they are. The Emirates winning moment once again will go to the team of Diego Botín, Florian Trittel, and company. In New York City, Spain will reign supreme.
Vamos indeed.
Coast to coast, the Spanish are winners in San Francisco 77 days ago, and now in New York City.
They're getting pretty good at these finals.
Racing still out on the water. It'll be the black foils just having enough unless Content de la Pierre can turn on the afterburners and make a race to the finish line. But it looks like New Zealand will grab second place.
Yeah, good result for the black foils, and you know, they rolled the dice at the bottom there, didn't they? But it's not cost them anything. I'm sure they would have hated to have come away from this third, but that's a solid one. Good one for France as well. Remember, it's a long race to Abu Dhabi, and all these points add up and count a lot.
Halfway point, and it's New Zealand that finishes second. They finished first last year. That will help them in the overall. They were sitting in fourth. They will certainly move up there. But Spain will be the big winners as they will pick up 10 points. And unfortunately for France, just nothing, not in the mix, Stevie, off the line as they were unable to get into the fight. It was a great battle in there, but Spain made the right decision. They took a chance, and then they made it stick as they win the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
Okay.